The MLS is back, and after 5 weeks of matchups, we are beginning to see how each team will fare throughout the course of this season. Some teams have impressed, while others not so much. I'm Josh Armour, joined by Owen Cameros and Chris Machado, and this is Penn State Sports Night. So, a few teams have gotten off to a hot start at the early stages of this season. Owen, which teams have impressed you the most so far?
Yeah, so Toronto FC has been really impressive this year. Toronto FC last year, they were the second worst team in the MLS, the worst team in the Eastern Conference. This year, 10 points, fifth in the East, but only by goal differential. They're only 1 point out of first place, and that's FC Cincinnati in first, who won the Supporter Shield last year. The thing with Toronto FC, the big turnaround from them has just been defensive efficiency and stoutness. Toronto FC last year gave up an absurd amount of goals. Over 50 goals in a season is crazy. You just can't be doing that at the MLS level. This year, they've been incredibly stout. They've held teams like FC Cincinnati scoreless. The thing with them has been just a real lack of just defensive errors. Last year, they made defensive errors all over the place. They couldn't even get the ball to their star players. Lorenzo Insigne was one of their best players last year, but they just couldn't get the ball to them because they could never clear their lines and be able to actually get up on the attack. This year, they've been incredibly stout, incredibly compact, and they've really been able to push the ball forward and get it to their talisman up front.
Yeah, and for me, it's the New York Red Bulls. I mean, since winning the Supporter Shield in 2018, they've had their ups, they've had their downs, but right now at 3-1-1, they're in a really good spot. A four-way tie right now in the East with four teams having 10 points, looking for that second spot right under FC Cincinnati. And I know the Red Bulls just went to the Columbus Crew, and they got beat pretty soundly. I mean, the reigning defending MLS Cup champions, it was a 3-0 loss, but at home, you just beat Inter Miami soundly. That was an embarrassment. A 4-0 win in Red Bull Arena. Hat trick by Lewis Morgan. Dante Van Zier getting all 4 assists. I mean, are you kidding me? And of course, this team, there's nothing to worry about on the back end. You got Carlos Coronel and fellow Yonkers, New York native like myself, Ryan Mara in net, and he got the shutout right there against Inter Miami. Absolutely amazing. And you're going to tell me that this team's going to get better? Because remember, John Tolkien right now, he's with the United States men's national team, so he'll come back. And don't forget Emil Forsberg from Leipzig. Right now, I know he's with Team Sweden, but when he gets back, watch out for the Red Bulls.
Yeah, absolutely. Red Bulls are just an incredible team. I mean, joining Toronto FC kind of in that four-way tie with 10 points in the Eastern Conference, one of the teams that I've really been shocked on, just how much of a turnaround they've had in just a short season. They're just a really incredible team, and I'm excited for them this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely a lot more exciting at this point in the season than they were at last year. But moving on, Chris, which teams have been the biggest disappointment so far this season?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go right on the other side of this Hudson River Derby for NYCFC. This team has so much going for it. You just won MLS Cup 3 years ago in 2021. You have a new stadium coming in Queens, right next to Citi Field, roughly supposed to be done built in 2027. There's so much promise for this team, especially the fans, finally getting out of the Bronx, finally getting out of Yankee Stadium. And their fans are very happy about that. But right now, you're second to last in the East at 1-0-4. That one win is coming off of Toronto, which, Owen, you just mentioned, a fantastic team.
Yeah, fantastic team.
But NYCFC being shut out 3 times already this season by St. Louis, Nashville, and then, of course, MC Cincinnati right there. Those are being the last 3 games. But on the bright side for NYCFC, at least they're not big margins. They're not big shutout losses by 2 or more goals. They've always been 1-goal losses. Yeah. So that's a positive. But right now, you have Inter Miami coming up, the number 2 team in the East. So your goaltending and defense is going to have to stand up.
Yeah, and then for me, it's unfortunately going to be a team very close to my heart. It's the Seattle Sounders. The Seattle Sounders were the MLS's dynasty for about the better part of the past 6 years. Now, I mean, just look at the record. 0-2-2, last place in the West. Next match against the Galaxy, who have been incredible this year. The issue with the Sounders, and it's a load of issues. I could give a sermon on this, but the thing with the Sounders is they play an outdated style of football, an outdated style of soccer. I know we're in America, and they really don't have the talent that they used to have. The problem with Seattle is they play exactly like a team that we all know in the Premier League, Manchester United, when they had Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo at Manchester United was an incredible player. The problem with Ronaldo was he made Manchester United one-dimensional. Everything went through him. Everything was a cross into him up top, and he wasn't the same level of player that he used to be. That is what Seattle is with Raul Ruiz and Jordan Morris up top. Jordan Morris does not have the blinding pace that he used to have. He cannot get in behind a defense. He is not technically able to play hold-up play and to play back to Obed Vargas, Albert Rusnak, and players like that. So he's really, honestly, taking up space. And that is an important position where you need a star player. And at the 9 position, he just takes up space. Same thing with Raul Ruidiaz in a different way. Raul Ruidiaz loves to drop in. He loves to kind of play in the midfield a little bit. The problem with him is he just doesn't have the technical ability, the skill, and frankly, the stamina to do that for 90 minutes. He can still create worldies. He can still do incredible things. The problem is he can't do enough of it to help Seattle. Seattle right now, they're not scoring many goals. They only have 2 goals from open play, 4 goals in total. 2 of those goals coming from the penalty spot. That's just not sustainable soccer if you're going to be playing in a very, very stacked Western Conference.
Yeah, I agree. It's still early in the season. However, Seattle is definitely looking like a shell of their former self.
Absolutely.
But on another note, in between all these winners and losers, Owen, which team should we keep our eye on for the rest of the season?
Oh my word, it's Inter Miami. Inter Miami is one of the most interesting teams I've ever seen this year. There's really 2 types of teams previously that had big name European players. When you had big name European players, there was 2 types of teams. Either they were brought in to kind of be the savior. Think of when Zlatan Ibrahimovic came to the LA Galaxy. He was brought in to be the savior, to be everything for the Galaxy. What happens with that is it always fails because frankly, when big name European players come and play for MLS clubs to kind of see out their retirement years, they're still incredible players, but when there's 11 guys on the field, you can't have one guy control everything. You really have to be, maybe if Zlatan was in his prime, 27, 28, but not at 35, 36. The other type of European team when they bring in a European player is when they bring in a European player as an addition to an already stacked roster. Think of LAFC in 2022 when they brought in Gareth Bale. LAFC in 2022 was one of the best teams of all time. Gareth Bale was a great addition to an already stacked roster. Carlos Vela, Danny Bouanga, players like that. Now with Inter Miami, it's different. They are an entire roster of older European players. Busquets, Messi, Suarez, Alba, incredible players. So it's going to be really interesting to see this year whether that is a feasible way to stack a roster in the MLS. I'm very interested. I don't personally believe it is. I still think that you need youth, and they don't exactly have that outside of Robert Taylor. But other than that, it should be really interesting to see how good this team can be and how far they can go in frankly, a stacked MLS year this year.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Let's go from number 2 in the East over to number 2 in the West, and that is the LA Galaxy. And they're going to be my team to watch right now. 9 points just behind Minnesota United. And right now, I want not only keep an eye on the team, but keep an eye on Donje Uvelic. Right now, their striker wears number 9 for him. He's been fabulous. He has 1 goal, guess what, in every single match this season right now for the LA Galaxy. And to the one to tie it that he scored against Sporting Kansas City, probably the biggest so far of the year. That goal was a huge momentum shift in Children's Mercy Park. And guess what? Their next game, Owen, you mentioned Seattle not having a great year right now. That's their next match. And guess what? Up next, they have to play El Tráfico against their crosstown rival, LAFC. But right now, keep an eye on the Galaxy.
Yeah, and we've seen how good El Tráfico can be. They had it in the Rose Bowl, the biggest sporting, soccer event in 2023 last year at the Rose Bowl. It was incredible. I personally wish I could have gone to that, but LA Galaxy, one of those teams that I just think this could be their year where they finally get back to being one of the best teams in the MLS.
Yeah, these 2 teams definitely going to be must-watches for MLS fans throughout the season. Well, we heard some fantastic analysis tonight, but this is the MLS. Only time will tell how the table shakes out and who will go on to lift the trophy. I'm Josh Armour, joined by Owen Cameros and Chris Machado, and we thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.